welcome once again. In the last episode we had seen the properties of 1s group. In this episode we shall take up the properties of 2s group. Now the 2s group has electronic configuration of noble gas with s2 electron. These are called alkaline earth metal. They are called alkaline earth metal because they dissolve in water to form hydroxide except beryllium, and their oxides are present in the earth crust. Therefore, they are called alkaline earth metals. We will take up the physical properties, chemical properties, diagonal relationship and comparative studies of the two groups. To start with, tell you about the alkaline earth metals. The alkaline earth metals are comprising of beryllium, magnesium, strontium, calcium and barium. They are silvery greyish in color, harder and have higher boiling and melting point compared to their counterpart in group 1. Since 2 electrons contribute in bond formation which result in stronger metallic bond and therefore are smaller in atomic size, and they show different crystal structures. Now, these elements with exception of beryllium are commonly known as alkaline earth metal, as I have already mentioned earlier. These are called so because their oxides and hydroxides are alkaline in nature and their metal oxides are found in earth crust. Now, name of the elements I have already told you earlier. They constitute of beryllium, you can see here magnesium, calcium, strontium and barium, and you can also see the electronic configuration. It is the noble gas configuration followed by s2 electrons in each orbital. You can see 2s2, 3s2, 4s2, 5s2, 6s2 respectively. Now, abundance and occurrence. These are again reactive metals. They do not exist in free state and are therefore present in chemical form. And regarding the abundance, you can see that relative abundance of beryllium is quite less. It is 51 in the rank. Magnesium ranks 6th in relative abundance, calcium 5th and strontium 15th and barium 14th. Now, crystal structure, all have different crystal structure. You can see here beryllium has a hexagonal close packing structure, magnesium also has the same structure, calcium has face centered cubic structure, strontium also has the same structure, that is face centered cubic structure, whereas barium has BCC, that is body centered cubic structure. Now, they occur as compounds, as I have already told you that they are very reactive. They do not exist in free state and are generally found in the compound form. Beryllium exists as beryl, you can see that Bl, B3, Al2, Si6, O18 and phenacite, which is Be2SiO4. Magnesium has a dolomite form, it is nothing but mixture of magnesium and calcium carbonate, and as magnesite, which is magnesium carbonate, you can see here MgCO3, and epsomite, which is magnesium sulphate 7H2O hydrated form, and calcium as calcite and argonite, which are two forms of calcium carbonate. It also exists as fluoroapatite. You can see here the formula of this is 3Ca3PO4 twice CaF2, calcium fluoride and calcium phosphate mixture. So, limestone as calcium oxide, we all know about limestone calcium oxide, which is very commonly used in making of cement, and then gypsum calcium sulphate 2H2O. Strontium is present as celestite SrSO4 and as strontianite SrCO3, and beryllium found in generally as barite, which is nothing but BaSO4. Now, physical properties of alkaline earth metals are very similar to those of alkali metals. If you see the trend, they are almost exactly the same type, that is they keep on decreasing and increasing in the same order as it happens in magnesium in the first group elements. You can see that beryllium, you can see the ionization energy decreases down the group, density again increases down the group, then radii increases down the group, and electronegativity again decreases down the group. The positivity, which has not been shown here, but that follows exactly the reverse trend, that is it increases down the group. Now, you can see the melting and boiling point decreases down the group, that is because the two electrons which are responsible for metallic bonding are very close in this, as you go down they keep the distance increases, and therefore, the metallic bonding becomes lesser and lesser. However, the shape, that is the structure of these compounds vary a lot. So, density and other things they depend also on the packing of the material. So, there may be exceptions here and there, but on the overall trend remains almost similar to that. Now, you can see in this case the first and second ionization energy are slightly lesser, and if you see the third one, because after losing 2 electron they acquire noble gas configuration, and on acquiring noble gas configuration they become very stable, and also the nuclear charge is very high. It is very difficult to remove the outer electron after that. You can see that this is 839, this is 1757, and then it suddenly jumps to 14,847. So, you can see the difference in the third ionization energy, that is because they are basically having inert gas configuration after the removal of 2 electron. The oxidation state of group 2 metals is +2. We already know, because I have already said that it is easy to remove 2 electrons, because after removal of 2 electrons then we get a noble gas configuration which is very stable. As these 2 electrons are removed, stable electronic configuration is obtained. The sum of first and the second ionization energy is fairly low. The third ionization energy is very high, because as I have already told you, because it requires a noble gas configuration. Atomic and ionic radii, we have told you that it decreases down increases down the group because of the addition of the shell. And coming to the increase in number of proton leads to greater attraction force, is also I have told you the nuclear charge will increase, and therefore, the ionization, second ionization will be higher than the first one, and after removing the second electron it will acquire a noble gas configuration, and it becomes very difficult to remove an electron then. Then ionization enthalpy we have already shown you here, beryllium is it decreases down the group because the metallic bonding decreases down the group. There are 2 electrons which hold, but if you compare with the first group element, it is much higher, because there we had only 1 electron to form metallic bonding, but here we have 2 electrons which form metallic bond. Electronegativity follows the same order as the first one, however, it is greater than that of the first group element. The metallic character, again it is the reverse of it. Now, generally the metallic character increases down the group. Density is variable, because I have told you they acquire a different structure, and therefore, they may not have a very consistent type of density as one would expect. That is because of the different type of packing present in them. Then melting and boiling point will tend to become lower and lower, because the intermetallic forces bonding will become weaker and weaker because of the size effect, because as we go down the groups the size increases. The ionic radii and of course, the metallic radii will follow the same trend, that is they will increase down the group because of the addition of new shell. Then number of valence electron, we know there are 2. There is no regular trend, as I said, down the group because of the packing, we have already told you this. Then coming to flame coloration, see we have also discussed earlier that flame coloration is only imparted because when the atom acquires energy, it reaches excited state, and when it returns to the ground state, it radiates energy, and which falls in the visible region. But beryllium and magnesium require a much higher energy, and therefore, do not produce any characteristic color, but on going down the group the energy drops and it comes in the visible region, and you can see the color here. Calcium gives brick red, strontium crimson red, and then barium gives us sea green. Now, reactivity and electrode potential values. Now, reactivity increases down the group because the easier to remove electron as we move down the group, and therefore, the reactivity as well as the power to reduce or the electrode potential will become more and more negative down the group. Then formation of oxide. As we have discussed earlier, they also tend to form basic oxide. The normal oxide has the formula of MO, MO means metal O, and in case of beryllium we have BeO, in case of calcium we form CaO. These are normal oxides, and in this case beryllium and magnesium form only normal oxide, that is because of the size effect, whereas calcium, barium, strontium can also form peroxide, and they cannot in fact calcium and strontium can only form peroxide, and whereas barium can also form superoxide. You can see here Ba plus O2 will give Ba2, this is superoxide. And again, except from beryllium, which is amphoteric in nature. What is amphoteric basically? That is a compound which behaves as an acid in a strong base, and as a base in a strong acid is called amphoteric compound. That is, it can react with both acid as well as base to give salt. These type of compounds are called amphoteric. BeO is amphoteric oxide, that is, can react with strong base as well as strong acid to give salts. Then reaction with water, reactivity of water with metal. Beryllium does not react with water at all, it is almost insoluble in water. Magnesium reacts very slowly, whereas as you go down the group the reactivity becomes faster and faster. We can see here beryllium does not react with water, magnesium does react, it is in this solid, this is in gaseous form, not in liquid form, then it reacts vigorously, but otherwise it is very slow. Here I have written here, you can see Mg plus 2 H2O giving this, forming basic hydroxides. You can see calcium reacts moderately fast, then it becomes faster and faster. As I have told you, as you go down the group the reaction becomes faster and faster. The reactivity of second group oxides, they react with water to give alkaline solution, except for beryllium, as I said it is amphoteric in nature, it will give react with both base and it is almost unreactive with water, whereas calcium oxide reacts with water to give calcium hydroxide and reactivity increases down the group. Beryllium is almost totally reacted with water. You can see here this reacts with acid to give B2 plus salt, and with base it is giving sodium, it is basically berylate ion, but when you call it as, if you take sodium hydroxide, the compound which we get is sodium berylate, and if here we use HCl we get beryllium chloride BeCl2, but we have not shown the anion part of it, but that is understood from the reactions. Now, MgO is slightly soluble in water, but dissolves in acid to form salt. The reactivity of the group 2 oxide except beryllium and magnesium, the reactivity of group 2 peroxide increases down the group. As I have told you that beryllium and magnesium do not form peroxide, so we cannot write down the reactions of them. So, you can see other ones, this is superoxide, when it reacts with water it gives barium hydroxide plus H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. The metal peroxide and metal superoxides are powerful oxidizing agent because they give hydrogen peroxide as one of the product. Metal peroxides and metal superoxides are useful in qualitative and quantitative analysis. Now, hydride, now like alkaline earth metal, because it has a valency of 2, it forms ionic hydride with the formula MEH2, but beryllium hydride basically has a complex formula, it does not exist as a monomer, it dimerizes and forms a covalent hydride, it is not a ionic hydride, but other members tend to form ionic hydride. We are showing here, yes, you can see that we have not mentioned beryllium here, we have written magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, but we have not mentioned beryllium because it does not form a ionic hydride, it forms basically a sp3 hybridized and there is a bridging of 2 hydrogen. Now, halides here again beryllium forms covalent halides, whereas other tend to form ionic halides and they form MX2 journal type, like if you have beryllium here it will form beryllium dichloride, if you have magnesium, magnesium dichloride and so on, carbonate. Now, they tend to form carbonates. Actually, carbonates are very important here, and the solubility of these carbonates is of importance, because as you go down the group the solubility decreases. Magnesium carbonate is slightly soluble, as you go down calcium carbonate is insoluble, and subsequently as we go to strontium and barium, they are also insoluble. This is because the +2 charge, due to +2 charge, that size of the cation is quite small, and there is lot of distortion of electron cloud, and due to this polarization they tend to be unstable and they decompose on heating. You can see the decomposition temperature, because beryllium being the smallest one will decompose much easily, in a much easier way. You can see here beryllium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, the temperature we have given, it decomposes at 373 Kelvin. Kelvin means it is about 100 degrees Celsius. We have given temperature here in Kelvin, and you can see magnesium carbonate around 600, and you can see that it keeps on increasing, because this is because beryllium is very small and carbonate is highly polarized. That is, polarization means it is highly distorted, and therefore, it is very unstable and tend to decompose on heating. Now, same is the case with sulphate. If you go down the group, the insolubility increases. This is again due to the same factor. The magnesium sulphate is soluble because it is readily broken due to the same effect, magnesium being smaller in size and sulphate is quite large in size, and they can easily ionize. But if you go down the group, they tend to become insoluble. The solubility of sulphate decreases down the group. Magnesium sulphate is soluble, whereas barium sulphate is completely insoluble. The sulphate decompose on heating, giving oxide and chemicals of elements. Oxides do not decompose very readily, because they are small in size, and so are the cations of the second group. So, they are not able to polarize them, and even the lattice energy is quite high. Therefore, they do not decompose on heating readily, and the end product is generally MO. You can see here MSO4, any sulphate it could be, it leads to the formation of sulfur trioxide and metal oxide, and this oxide is quite stable. If you want to break this, you need a very high temperature. Sulphate we have already told you. You can see the decomposition temperature, it increases. You can see here beryllium sulphate is quite low, because again the same reason, beryllium being small, and as we go down the group the ion size increases, and so the distortion also decreases with this ion size, because these becomes this smaller. So, maximum distortion here, this will be minimum distortion here. So, this will be more stable. Now, these are some summary of the reaction which we have already told you. You can see that a divalent compound will form MX type of compound, like sulfur will form MS type of compound. With water we have already told you get hydroxides, as we have shown earlier. With acid you get chloride HCl and liberation of hydrogen. Then with hydrogen you get MH2 hydride, and then N2 you get magnesium nitride. You can see that we have also discussed earlier in the first chapter that lithium and magnesium form nitride under ordinary condition. With X2 we get MX2 type of compound. Complex formation by group 2s element. Now, this is understandable that beryllium does not have vacant d orbital and cannot expand into oxide. Among the best known complexes of beryllium are tetrafluoroberylate BeF42 negative and dioxylato berylate BeC2O422 negative. Now, in the hydrated salt like beryllium carbonate 4H2O and beryllium sulphate 4H2O, beryllium exists as tetraecho beryllium ion BH2O4 2 positive. Now, the most common compound of magnesium containing organic species is chlorophyll, which is responsible for life in earth. It is green pigment in plant that absorbs sunlight and makes energy available for photosynthesis. It converts carbon dioxide in presence of water to glucose in sunlight. You can see the reaction here, 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O chlorophyll will give glucose plus oxygen. Now, the magnesium is coordinated to 4 cyclic nitrogen atom in a reduced porphyrin ring system. You can see the structure of this is magnesium, these are the 4 nitrogen to which magnesium is coordinated here. Now, calcium and the lower member form complexes with strong complexing agents like ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid EDTA. EDTA forms complex with 4 coordination numbers, 6 with both calcium and magnesium. This fact is utilized in estimation of hardness of water. The amount of calcium 2 plus and magnesium 2 plus responsible for hardness is determined by the titration with EDTA. They also form complexes with polyphosphate, and that is used in water as water softening agent. Now, stable solid complexes with crown ether and cryptand have also been isolated. Now, organometallic compounds of alkaline earth metals, that is group 2 elements, beryllium and magnesium, form an appreciable number of compound with MC bond. The most important organomagnesium compound is the Grignard reagent, and have studied this earlier also, because this is a very important compound and is required for synthesis of number of organic compounds, and in fact, inorganic alkyl compounds and aryl compounds are also prepared using Grignard reagent. They are made by slow addition of alkyl and aryl halide to continuously stirred mixture of magnesium turning in dry ether in the absence of air. These are versatile reagent and are widely used in synthesizing vast range of organic compounds. I have already told you alcohol, aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acid, ester, amine. Detail of these syntheses are found in textbooks of organic chemistry, and then they are not required to be justified here. Some of the example, however, we can take is for the preparation of other alkyl compounds. You can see this, the Grignard reagent 2 MgBr, RMgBr plus BeCl2 will give beryllium alkyl BeR2, where R could be anything, methyl, ethyl, phenyl, whatever we are interested in preparing, we can take that. Now, you can see here another example of formation of magnesium alkyl using Grignard reagent and using LIR as the other reactant. Similarly, boron alkyl can be prepared using this. We are only taking up inorganic compounds. Basically, we are not taking up organic compound because they are well documented in the organic chemistry section. So, we are more interested in talking about the inorganic aspect of it. So, you can see here we can prepare different compounds of silicon, which are very important for synthesis of silicons, which are polymers of silicon. Now, Grignard reagent cannot be stored. So, therefore, it has to be used when it is required to be used. So, they are generally it is made for every time it is made for a new reaction, because we cannot store it, we have to again make again and again. So, you can see this again here there is a rewritten reaction, we have also earlier written the same reaction here, it is almost the same thing. So, you need not bother about it. All metals of the group from dialkyl and diaryl compounds of the type Mr2. The dimethyl derivative of beryllium is dimeric in vapor state and is polymeric in solid state. The biological importance of second group elements. Now, biological importance of magnesium 2 plus and calcium 2 plus are important in biology. We have already seen that magnesium 2 plus is an essential constituent of chlorophyll. Magnesium 2 ions are present in animal cell, whilst calcium ions are present in extracellular fluid. Calcium salt are quite insoluble, and hence calcium is found in hard tissues like nail, bone and teeth. Now, magnesium 2 ions form a complex with ATP and are constituent of enzyme for reaction involving ATP. They are also involved in the transmission of nerve impulse. Calcium ions are involved in blood clotting and muscle contraction and maintain correct rhythm of heartbeat. Now, anomalous behavior of beryllium. As we have seen in the first group, lithium being the first member has a different behavior from other elements. Similarly, beryllium being the first member has a unique feature, that is, it has different properties from other elements. Beryllium is the first member of group 2 and shows anomalous behavior as compared to magnesium and rest of the member. Further, it also shows diagonal relationship with aluminum, and this the reason we have already told you why there is a diagonal relationship, because the size of beryllium is almost similar to the size of aluminum, and also the size of the ion B2 plus is similar to that of Al3 plus. As we have already told you here, again you can see that we have mentioned here beryllium is exceptionally small atomic and ionic size, and thus does not compare well with other members of the group. Because of high ionization enthalpy and small size, it forms compound which are largely covalent and get easily hydrolyzed. Now, beryllium does not exhibit coordination number more than 4 because of the absence of d orbital. The remaining member can show a coordination number of 6 by making use of their d orbitals. Now, the oxides and hydroxides of beryllium we have already said are amphoteric in nature, but whereas others are basic in nature. Diagonal relationship between beryllium and aluminum has been already, as I have already said, because of the similar size of ions in the atom. Therefore, they are similar in chemical properties. You just highlight few of them. We can see that the oxide and hydroxide they form are amphoteric in nature, that is, both beryllium and aluminum form oxides which are amphoteric in nature, and also beryllium forms unusual carbides like Be2C, which is very similar to Al4C3 and yields methane on hydrolysis. These are called methanites basically, since they give methane on hydrolysis. Now, similarly, the halides of beryllium and aluminum have common feature that they both form bridged halide compounds, and beryllium and aluminum ions have strong tendency to form complexes because of being smaller in size. You can see here BeF42 negative, AlF63 negative. Now, we shall take up the comparison of first and second group compounds, and especially with respect to solubility and thermal stability. When an ionic solid is dissolved in water, there are two processes taking place. One is the breakdown of ionic solid, and the second is stabilization of ion by water molecule called hydration. Or first process involves input of energy and the second process involves release of energy, and the second process involves the release of energy when the ions are hydrated. The hydration enthalpy is the amount of energy released when a 1 mole of aqueous ion is formed from its gaseous state. Now, the hydration energy must be negative in value, as it is the energy released resulting from the attraction between water molecule and ions. Delta H hydration depends upon charge density. Now, greater the charge, greater is delta hydration energy, and lesser the charge, the lesser is the hydration energy, and also the hydration depends upon the size of the atom. So, smaller the ion, greater is the hydration energy. Now, higher the charge, stronger are the attraction, more is the energy released. Smaller the size, stronger are the attraction and more the energy is released. This is what I have told you earlier. Now, according to Hess law, see here NaCl, when the delta H solution is NaCl formation of aqueous ion here and here, and then this chloride gas takes up this solvation energy, it is equated here, and here the sodium ion takes a gaseous state and it forms NaCl solid. You can see this Na plus, this is the delta H formation, Na plus ion plus Cl negative will combine to give NaCl solid. But when you dissolve in water, there is solvation energy, it will form Na plus aqueous water. If water is a solvent, it is called aqueous. So, Cl negative aqueous. So, there is hydration energy. See, the enthalpy change of the reaction is nothing but, that is delta H solution is given by delta H hydration minus delta H lattice energy. Now, NaCl will ionize as Na plus aqueous and Cl negative aqueous in water, and the delta H solution is about 4 kilojoules per mole, which is good for solubility. Generally, we say that a negative value or small positive value of delta H solution makes the compound soluble. If the difference is too large, then it is insoluble. Now, this change involves two processes. You can see here, this is basically breakdown of the lattice. This is called lattice energy. You can see that there is a positive sign, that this energy has to be an input to it. Now, the energy change involved in this process is the reverse of lattice enthalpy. The lattice enthalpy is minus 776. You can see this, plus 4 kilojoule and is minus 77. You can see that hydrated, the energy is released. Therefore, it is minus inside, that is plus, and the difference is 4. See here, minus 772 kilojoule. This is the energy released, and you can see the above slide here. There is the energy given to break this lattice, and this is the amount of difference. This change involves, as we have said, two process, and the difference is 2. So, the compound, because the value is very small, as I said, if the value is negative or very small positive, then the compound is soluble in water. So, if you see this, smaller the ion, the greater is the hydration energy, and same is the true for lattice energy. Smaller the ion, the greater is the lattice energy. So, both are evenly proportional, that is, if both are small, both have high energies. So, therefore, the difference in the two will decide whether the compound will be soluble or not. So, if you have a compound, say lithium fluoride will be less soluble, very similar to beryllium fluoride, because both will have high lattice energy as well as hydration energy. But however, in case of lithium fluoride and beryllium fluoride, the lattice energy seems to be overcoming the hydration energy, and therefore, the compound is insoluble or very less soluble in water. Same is true for, you can see, sulphate, hydroxide, carbonates. If the difference in the size between the cation and the anion is very much higher, then the compound becomes soluble, but if the sizes become comparable, then it becomes insoluble, because as I said, if the anion is very big, then there is a lot of distortion, and as in the case of carbonate, sulphate, as you go up the group, because the ion becomes, and the cation becomes shorter or smaller, and therefore, distorts the charge cloud on the anion, thereby making it highly unstable, and therefore, it dissolves. Whereas, when you go down the group, the cation size increases, the distortion is not that there, and therefore, the compound becomes very stable and it does not dissolve. And the thermal stability refers to resistance of compound. The same is true for decomposition. You can see here, thermal stability and ionic compound dependence will depend on charge and size of the ion. The greater the charge to size ratio of the ion, the higher is the thermal stability of the compound. You can see compound with large polarizable anion, that is large anion. This is what I have been keeping on telling you, that if the anion is very large, the compound tends to, and the cation is very small, then there is a instability in the compound and thermally decompose very readily. So, if you have very small cation and a large anion, they will follow the similar trend in all cases. Now, you can take any, this is what he has shown here, this is very small cation, there is a lot of distortion, you can see that, and if the distortion is too much, this will become very weak, the bond between them will become weak and will break down. So, this is what he has shown here. If you just heat it small, little, give little heat, they will break down here. You can see there is very small, there is very large anion, small cation, on heating they will give to this thing, they will break down to two smaller molecules or atoms, whatever is significant. We are showing it again here how it happens basically. Now, carbonates, all carbonates except Li2CO3 can withstand temperature up to 800 degrees. So, you can see that Li being very small and carbonate being quite large, therefore, is not very stable and tends to decompose as it is, as you can see here Li2O plus CO2. This is how it decomposes, giving two molecules here from single. So, in all cases you will see similar effect, whether it is hydroxide, sulphate, carbonate or any other molecule, they will tend to behave in a similar way. See, we are showing here beryllium carbonate. Beryllium is very small, carbonate is quite large, and you can see that it easily breaks down into beryllium oxide and CO2. Now, calcium carbonate also does break down, but at a higher temperature. Now, all carbonates will break down, but the temperature will keep on increasing. That is, the thermal stability will increase with the down the group. See, that is what you read. See, you can read here, going down the group, the size of the cation increases, the polarizing power decreases, and the compound with larger cation size becomes more stable. This is what we have been keeping on saying again and again, whether it is carbonate, sulphate or any other such compound. And oxide, I said, are comparable in size and are less polarizable, and therefore, when you heat them, they tend to form oxide, which is very stable and is not readily polarized. So, both being almost similar in size, it becomes very stable. Now, we have already seen this, we have already discussed all these now physical properties of first group, second group, and chemical properties. We have visualized the nature of oxides, halides, sulphate, their solubility and thermal stability of these compounds, and we have also viewed the diagonal relationship between lithium and magnesium and beryllium and aluminum, and so we have gone through the comparative studies of both the group and shown that the S and both S block elements tend to form ionic compounds and have low ionization energies, and therefore, are very chemically very reactive. Thank you very much.